So I am going to tell you how I think I solved some of my problems while teaching in a hybrid mode. And I found the hybrid mode for programming courses a little bit more complicated since students had to use two different lab setups. I mean, one on their personal computer and one on DEREE labs. So there were many challenges there. Where is my work? Where are my files? Why is this version different from the other one? You know, I'm using one version in my computer and different versions here. The Internet Programming course is a course that teaches web development methodologies, and of course it contains many different languages and techniques and frameworks. It is a rather heavy duty course. It starts with a short introduction on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, jQuery, goes through to CSS frameworks, proceeds with Python, with Django, with SQLite, with SQL models, etc. The assessment method this semester also changed for that course. So we had a collaborative project. So I had to find a way to evaluate the degree of collaboration. They had to present a portfolio of student work and of course their final coursework project. One of the challenges was the lab or no lab. For me, the instructor having access to a lab environment, which is the same for all students, was one of the challenges because I had to debug and personally sit with every computer during office hours with every student in their own computer to figure out what is wrong and why whatever is not working, the web servers, the SQLs, the paths, everything. When I had to give them an assignment starter code, again, that was a challenge because initially, I mean, a year ago, I used to post them on our LMS on Blackboard. So students had to download, somehow unzip it, somehow load it into their environment that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't work. And the big challenge for the online part was when I gave them lab work to do on their own, people hesitated to share their screen in order to say, you know, Miss, I am stuck in a specific point. I don't know what to do next. While in the room, you know, you walk around the lab so you can see on their screens if they're facing, if they're struggling, and maybe if they're embarrassed to raise their hand, you can go close to them and you can ask them, you know, are you having any trouble? How can I help you to get stuck and go over that point? And of course, the last challenge was to be able to evaluate the involvement of the student on a shared collaborative project. That was a big buzz for me, and I mean for every instructor, I think, to evaluate the degree of collaboration. And of course, the same was true for the students. I'm not going to read the same list, okay? So I have my mentors. My mentors are David Malan, who teaches the CS course at Harvard University, the CS50 course. They have hundreds of students per semester and thousands of students participating in the course online. And I was saying, okay, how did they solve all these problems? How did they go past these difficulties? They developed 3 different tools. These tools have evolved over the years. The code, the lab, and the submit, which are free for everyone to use, since they are just gateways to the GitHub repository of me, of my students, of everyone who wants to use this let's say, tool for educational purposes, of course. The only thing that is required for the student and for the instructor is to have access to a GitHub account. And this is for authentication and for authorization. So this is how I use the technology in order to create my own work. First of all, they have the code.cs50.io that every student, I mean, not their students, my students as well, they can access through their browser. And inside there, they have compilers for Python, for C, for Java. They have the Django framework. They have a web server that you can bring up, and you can test your web pages. You have a Unix terminal. You can use, you can wget, you can install packages. Everything you do is stored in your GitHub repository. So actually they don't waste any space on their servers. So it's just a gateway to your repository. And apart from that, they have incorporated the submission tools that I will tell you in a while. So everything you do when you close this environment, your code, your work is stored in your GitHub, not anywhere else. The submit cs50.io extension, they have posted that small like website that you can create your course and you don't do anything else. They just, you give your students a URL that they can join the course. And after this happens, they are able to submit assignments. And not only submit assignments, you can view the assignments. The assignments, if you, I mean, the instructor will create the automatic grading scripts and will post them on his or her GitHub, the instructor. But this tool will connect to the instructor GitHub, will connect to the student GitHub, and will take the assignments and grade them. And the instructor can provide specific feedback on some assignments. And this is the example of the lab, how the lab can take place. In the lab, you can create an actual learning experience for your students. You create your exercise, which will appear on the left of the browser. In the center, the assignment code will be preloaded for the student. The terminal will be ready. And when the student finishes their work, they can get immediate feedback by submitting the assignment to the professors, to my grading scheme, to my grading repository, to my code that will grade their code, and they will get their immediate feedback before they submit. They can check, and if they see that they pass all of their points, they can actually submit, and you can see the submission as a professor. So all these integrations are enabled because of GitHub, because GitHub will take over the authentication and the authorization, will enable code reviews so that I can, go even in line by line and I can give feedback to my students. I will enable this automatic testing. These are tests. The auto grading, it's not an actual auto grading. It will not decide intelligently on a student's grade. But as coders, we can write tests to test our code. So this tool will just run the tests and will give you feedback on which tests your program passed or did not pass. And of course, it gives you access to version control. Of course, I think everybody knows what is GitHub, and everybody in the IT world. Somebody that is not in the IT world is an industry standard for software development. It's like the Facebook for programmers, I would say. Every programmer is connected on GitHub, can share their code, they can collaborate, they can distribute, they can perform the project management. And of course, this can happen in either public or private repositories. I mean, you can share, but if you want, you can decide not to share. Using GitHub in the classroom is very, very important, not only through these tools, but it's very important for students to have their work and their projects on GitHub. Because first they will learn an industry popular, very popular tool to make them competitive in the market. They will be able to publicly present their work, I mean, like a portfolio. So in the future, if an employer asks them, what projects have you done? The student can give a link to their GitHub work if they are proud of it. And of course, GitHub will allow them to develop their collaborative practices, which are, of course, very essential to software development. And during the course, they can receive line-specific feedback from the instructors and peers. And of course, the instructor can check what is happening. So this is an example. I marked out the names of the students for their collaboration. So they had a collaborative project, and we can see that this person did 41 commits and changed 230 lines of code and deleted these. And this person had only 15 commits, but wrote a lot of code. He added code, he deleted some code, and then I see the commit messages and the whole history of their collaboration. So this actually helped me, because in the old days, students used to submit a project and say, okay, this is our collaborative work, and write something down. But now I'm able to see day by day, time by time, how exactly, when was the peak of their work, when they collaborated, when it failed, fainted, etc. So it really helped me during that time.